I think we have everybody. I'm looking at good, clear pictures. We had the sound test earlier, so I think we are ready to begin this historic event today. So I'd like to start things moving from here at the United Nations in New York, and I'd like to say good morning and good evening. My name is Wayne Jacoby. I'm the director of GEM, an educational NGO that works in close association with the United Nations. We are headquartered at Chestnut Hill College in Philadelphia, but are at the UN today to initiate an opening conversation between two universities that are members of the UN Academic Impact Secretariat. We are doing it to support the obligations that schools make when they join UNAI and begin to work collaboratively in support of the 10 principles of the UN Academic Impact. Our program today will start with a few presentations and conversations in areas of mutual interest between students from both campuses. Then we will look at how our schools can truly be representative of UNAI and involve its students in activities across cultures that reflect social responsibility in today's world. In a nutshell, that's why we're all here today, to move in this direction. I would like to get us started today by introducing you to Laura Phillips from the United Nations Academic Impact to give you an opening greeting from UNAI here at the United Nations. Laura?
Thank you. Good morning and good evening. It is an honor for me to welcome you to the United Nations for what is the beginning of what we anticipate will be a very exciting and productive collaboration among UNAI institutions. My name is Laura Phillips, and I work with the United Nations Academic Impact with the Department of Public Information. On behalf of the UNAI, I would like to extend our support and gratitude for the initiative shown by Wayne Jacoby and the Global Education Motivators, and the commitment of students and faculty at Chestnut Hill College and Effat University. This cross-cultural collaboration embodies the spirit and the values of the United Nations and United Nations Academic Impact, working across cultures to achieve common goals, acting on shared principles to improve the world and seeking out commonalities rather than focusing on differences. It is collaborations such as these that stoke technological innovation and advance global citizenship. These campus-led initiatives also offer the best hope we have of coming up with workable solutions to the world's many problems, because it is young students, researchers, faculty, and academics like yourselves who bring new perspectives to challenges and novel approaches to problems. We are very excited to see the ideas that will be generated by this project and are eager to share the work you are doing with the larger UNAI family as an example of what can happen when a culture of intellectual curiosity and responsibility are coupled with a commitment to global citizenship and a desire for change. Thank you for all your efforts and initiative, and we look forward to what we are sure will be a long and constructive partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. I think there are people on both campuses that know Ramu Damodaran, who's the chief of the UN Academic Impact Initiative. Ramu is in India currently, or I know he would have been here also today to minimally say hello to his friends on both campuses. If you have your program, you'll see on the program there's a second person from UNAI who will be here. Her name is Lanice Collins. In a little while, Lars will be leaving, and Lanice will be coming to spend the remaining time with us related to the work that we will be introducing and doing here today. Also sitting here with me is Abdullah Al-Sultan. He's the director of our programs at GEM and is the main reason why this program is happening today. So Abdullah, would you like to say a few words, please?
Yeah, good morning and assalamu alaikum to people in Jeddah. I'm really excited and happy about this event, and I'm really grateful and thankful for Wayne and Jim for giving me this opportunity and all the support. I just want to say one thing. I really, really believe in video conferencing around the world between individuals to accomplish two things. To first of all, to show the right image of each society, and it's making it easier to understand each other, and hopefully to eliminate discrimination between different races and different countries around the world. Thank you guys for being here.
Well, we've had a little introduction and a greeting from here at the United Nations. Now we would like to do the same at the two campuses. And then we'll have a little bit of an understanding as what's going on each campus, a little bit about the audience, etc. And I'd like us to start that by going first to Effat University, where Dr. Jeanette is there as the Dean of Student Affairs, and Lisa Zuppi, the Director of International Affairs. And I'll turn it over to the university in Jeddah, and whoever is there to give us the opening greeting, we welcome that.
Okay, it's me here at the very back. You can see me. Hello. Okay, this is me. This is Dr. Jeanette Al-Abbasi. I am the Dean for Student Affairs here at Effat University. Actually, I'm very happy to be with you today. This is also our very first experience to have a video conference with, someone from the outside world. And I have Mrs. Lisa next to me. She will introduce herself to you now.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lisa Zuppi, Director of International Affairs at Effat University, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity to get people, just as Adela was saying, getting people together from different cultures to share ideas, to exchange knowledge about each other, and to discover that actually we're probably all human beings at the base of it as well. You know, sometimes in these troubled times, often gets forgotten. And I think this is a wonderful opportunity to bring different cultures together in our common humanity. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you, both of you, for your introduction from the university. Let's move on to Chestnut Hill College for Emily Scheidemann, Director of Student Activities. Emily?
Good morning and good evening from Chestnut Hill College. My name is Emily Scheidemann, and I am the Director of Student Activities at CHC. I am excited to be a part of today's collaborative conversation, and am looking forward to hearing from both our CHC students and our counterparts at Effat University. As the Director of Student Activities at CHC, I support a range of student programs and organizations. The Student Activities Office is responsible for weekend events and programming, student clubs and organizations, leadership development, new student orientation, and much more. Student Activities is just one small part of our Student Life Department, which is made up of a range of offices, including Residence Life, Counseling Center, Career Development, and Health Services. It is through these efforts that we seek to support our students' growth and development outside of the classroom. Today, I look forward to hearing about Effat University and its programs and traditions. This is certainly an amazing opportunity, and I'm grateful for the chance to listen, learn, and collaborate across cultures. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. This really is a very special time.
Wayne, we have one more comment here from Chestnut Hill, just real quick.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't realize that. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Wayne, and welcome everyone. It's my joy and privilege to also join Emily in extending a greeting on behalf of Chestnut Hill College. My name is Wolfgang Natter. I am the Vice President for Academic Affairs and Dean of Faculty here. What I above all want to emphasize is how very important to us here at Chestnut College across all of our domains, that is the academic, the curricular, the co-curricular, the extracurricular, how important it is to us to seek to foster the globalization of our curriculum as well as the internationalization of our campus. These are elements of our strategic plan, in fact, and we are launching many initiatives around that. And we certainly see this collaboration as an important step also towards that goal. So I want to join with all my colleagues in wishing you great success today, to wish especially our students great success with their presentations, and I look forward to a continuation of our conversations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, at the United Nations, it is clearly evident every day that youth of the world are needed to be part of the solution to problems in our world. The current generation in our audience needs to know that. They also need to know that, one, you are the first generation to have all the tools to eradicate poverty in the world. And two, you're the last generation that can do anything to stop climate change from drastically changing how people will live in the not too distant future. That said, at GEM, we firmly believe that a good place to start to bring people together is to make friends and change the world. The best way to do that is through open communication in areas of mutual interest, and to do it two ways. One, get involved and share your thoughts on your interests and on other issues. And two, listen with open minds to what others have to say as we try to really learn from each other and work together to get the big picture of our small world. So let's go to Jeddah for our beginning, to Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, to Effat University, and meet with the students. When they finish their presentations on education, art, and civic engagement, we will have time for question and answers before we go to Chestnut Hill College for their presentation. So for the next period of time, we'll try to mute our microphones here so we can listen to the students from Effat University, and then we'll open it up to Chestnut Hill College for questions and comments.
Okay. We'll start again.
Okay. So, good morning and good evening. My name is Rahaf Al-Sayari, and I will be discussing the topic of education in Saudi Arabia. So to start off, I'm going to start off with a brief history of education in women of Saudi Arabia. The form of public schooling in Saudi Arabia started in the 1960s. Queen Effat al-Thnayan, King Faisal's beloved wife, fought enthusiastically for education of females here in Saudi Arabia. Initially, there was a strong opposition from other parts of Saudi Arabia. And the ratio of boys to girls studying in primary schools were 22% boys and 2% girls. After that, in 1989, the educational system of Saudi Arabia had more than 14,000 educational institutes, such as like universities and so on. All books, health services were covered by the government. And financial support was given as an incentive to women for them to continue studying, their higher education. And after that, it boomed from 20,000 up to 40,000 in the same time period. The Saudi government has started instituting a series of initiatives for enhancing access of higher education for women, including the establishment of Princess Noura bint Abd al-Rahman University, which is designed to become the world's largest center of higher education of women worldwide. Currently, more than 300 higher education colleges exist for women in the country alongside universities, and women represent more than 56% of total number of Saudi university students, and more than 20% of those are benefiting from overseas scholarships. The percentage is expected to increase in the coming years. Saudi women have dazzled international observance by becoming pioneers in a variety of fields, prominently in science and research, and by receiving international awards These achievements have been reflected in the international reports and statistics. The 2009 Global Education Digest of UNESCO showed that Saudi women come remarkably ahead of Western women in terms of obtaining academic degrees. Also, the 2009 Gender Gap Report ranked Saudi Arabia as 25th among countries in terms of gap between the two sexes. Women in higher education in the kingdom are witnessing a development qualitatively and quantitatively in terms of developing programs, initiatives, and strategies. The development provides an educational opportunity to women and plays an important role in realizing equity between the two sexes in job opportunities and overseas scholarship. The Saudi Scholarship Program provides funding for about 30,000 students to study at the US universities alone in 2012, provided more than 130 in 46 universities around the world. An impressive number of these 130,000 students, of which 20% are women. And that percentage rises dramatically when you consider more recent years. The Saudi Scholarship Program provides funding for about 30,000 Saudi scholarship recipients to study at the US. And according to statistics provided by the Saudi Arabia Cultural Mission this year, that Saudi government has committed about 25% of its total budget to education, which means 45 billion. Effat University is the first women's only higher education institution in Saudi Arabia to offer entrepreneurship and visual and digital production. Also, Queen Effat Al Nayam, her soul rest in peace, made the first school for females, which was Dar al-Hanan. And I'd like to end my presentation with a quote of our late King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz. When we talk about the comprehensive development our country is witnessing, we cannot ignore the role of Saudi women and their participation in this development. The productive role of women has been a definite result of great investment that the country has dedicated to the field of education for all its citizens, men and women. As a result, Saudi women have been able to earn the highest educational credentials, which enabled them to work in different fields. Saudi women have proven their ability to handle responsibilities with great success, whether through their principal's duty as mothers or as professionals. We look forward to women acquiring a major role in a way that will promote the interests of this nation in a basis of Sharia. Thank you.
You can start.
Thank you, Rahaf. My name is Juwairia Abi Khan. And a little about myself is I'm from the psychology department in Effat University, and I will be discussing the topic of civic engagement in Saudi Arabia. So basically, we came up with this topic because it's actually a course in our university, and it really intrigued us, and it's sort of it's something relatable, and we thought that we could share it with you, and you could definitely understand on a mutual basis. So the first example, like Rahaf said, is of Queen Effat Al Thanayan, who can be considered as the first female to upbring or make or come up with the concept of an educational institution for females only in Saudi Arabia. So this is basically, I'm discussing civic engagement, where I'm going to gradually take you through time of how civic engagement was here in this country from since long ago in history and has graduated more and more into the present situation. So in historical examples could be of how the Hajj and Umrah situation is in this country, as we all know. It is a very famous meeting point, a very prestigious, for Muslims is a very prestigious area where Muslims from all around the world come and travel under different conditions to perform pilgrimage. And a very basic and a very fundamental form of civic engagement, social service and help that Saudi Arabia provides from long ago in history is, as you can see from the pictures, social workers and people who work in Hajj and Umrah camps voluntarily to assist all those in need. Another concept is of a waqf, which is an Arabic word for basically giving. And it is voluntarily giving, in which people here, for example, would go out on the road, donate a bench in a park or a building or a mosque, or lay out food for anyone, for the homeless or for the needy, which is basically just a voluntarily sense of responsibility that all citizens have. And these are the basic fundamental sources or examples of civic engagement that can be seen from since way past in history. However, now moving into civic engagement now, what's interesting is civic engagement is not only just something that is flourishing greatly in this country. What's interesting is it is very much pioneered by women in this country, and we can see that very obviously. Hajj volunteers now are special, we have special institutions here where they're trained and they are taught how to deal with any situation, any problem. So civic engagement here is taken really seriously. Then there are many examples. For example, there's an example called the Jeddah Friends program, where this is an institution and an NGO which focuses on repairing old houses in the country and making a better place for any homeless or ramshackle houses for people to live. A very famous season in this in our Muslim year is the Ramadan season, where an organization called Red Crescent focuses on providing food, and at the moment of fast, when Muslims break their fast, they provide food free of cost to anyone out on the street who is stuck at that time. Other examples is the National Center for Youth Research, which is very interesting because here they research on people from age group of 15 to 30 and research how social change here, as you can see from our presentations, social change here is something that is drastically improving. And research is done from people on the age group of 15 to 30 as to how the social change is affecting them, and their situations are analyzed and observed so as to assess their future needs or demands, for example, as to how we can help them. Civic engagement also is part of the curriculum now in many schools and universities, where this topic is taught and instilled in children from a very young age, which was not done as of before. Then individual institutions such as Effat University and other schools and international schools and organizations here make their own NGOs, and some examples I have of are, for example, of Build Africa, which is in the American International School in Saudi Arabia, and Young Women's Organization, both of which are founded by women and young leading model women here in Saudi Arabia who aim to make our society a better place here. Then, as you can see, there are some logos of some famous programs and civic engagement institutions. The very famous and a very old, like it's from quite long ago, from 1976, was founded is King Faisal Foundation, which focuses on concepts such as global outreach, enriching knowledge, rewarding scholars, both from locally, regionally, internationally, in terms of both educationally and religiously. And the quote is, King's Faisal vision was to ensure that a humanitarian element is embedded into the plans and policies that influence people's lives regardless of their color, gender, or faith, contributing to a better world. Then another example is of Al Faisaliya Women Welfare Society, which was established in 1976, which focused on concepts such as social, health, cultural factors, rehabilitation for the low-income families or needy people, childcare, and educational facilities. Then we have an example of Al Ahli social programs, which are basically subdivided into charity organizations, orphanages, and their orphanages had a very famous program called the School Bag Project, where a number of students who could not afford it were provided with schools and stationery and school opportunities and items for free. They also had, their program also had voluntary work in the company, which they kept people as internships so that they could train them. They also had a disabled program where in their company they had a ratio of some people where they would train and employ people in their special needs program and keep them in their company. Another example is the Muslim World League that is also established in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and is also a member of the ECOSOC Council in the UN. Another example is of Sultan bin Abdulaziz Al Saud Foundation, which focuses on humanitarian services, medical and educational communication programs, science and technology, charitable funds for patients, and medical treatments for all. There's another very famous institution called the Effat, which is an NGO that aims to promote organ donations and increase awareness in the society for organ transplants and why and how necessary it is for people who are in need. There's also one more thing called the Saudi Cancer Foundation, is also a relatively newfound foundation in 2004, which is all about raising awareness of cancer and giving cancer patients moral support and having sort of volunteer programs and a place where they can be and we can improve their life conditions and help them in whatever way we can. So I'd like to conclusively say that surprisingly and this is very something that is a matter of pride to us, how in this country, this is an article that I found very interesting from Arab News, which what I found interesting is in this country now, people are taking up the idea of community service, social work, civic engagement, all sorts of volunteer work as a responsibility upon themselves. And maybe it's a result of globalization, maybe it's a result of the influences from our religion, but people, and more openly since social change is being brought about here, women feel that they have the right and the independence to go about and initiate any sort of social change at whatever level they can, and it is being recognized, and I feel that that is a very big matter of pride to us. That would be all from my part. Now I'll give it over to Hanan.
Hello, my name is Hanan Khaifi. I'm an engineering student at Effat, and well, we initiated the club 3 years ago, the Model United Nations Club at Effat, and it brings me great honor to have this teleconference with Chestnut Hill University, GEM, and the UN academic program in New York. Unlike my colleagues, my topic is not so much of education, and I took up the fun part, which is art. I just chose my favorite artists in different fields, and I want to give a small brief about what they do, and yeah. So my first example is in theater. Dr. Maysa Subayhi is the director and the writer of a play called Head Over Heels. It discusses polygamy and the cultural norms of the Saudi marriages. I think this is a really common question that we get from Westerners about marriage and polygamy. Is it okay for us? Do we accept it or not? And so this play answers all of these questions in a really interesting way. It's a comedy to us and education to outsiders, basically. The next topic is on fashion. I had two examples. The first is Ala Al-Balkhi. She's a fashion designer who was based in Jeddah. Her brand, Fyunka, it means the bow, basically. And these are two pictures of her pieces. Which basically, one of them, the red one, has pictures of women wearing the abaya, which is the traditional clothing for women, which is what I'm wearing and all of us are wearing today. And the other picture is of, the other bag has a picture of something called batula, which is a really old traditional face piece. I think you might have seen it or not. It's really beautiful, and I love how she integrates a culture and history with her art pieces. The second fashion designer is Mr. Nassim, and basically there's this is him at the very left, and the picture in the middle is what a Saudi guy would be wearing in Saudi Arabia, basically. It's called a thobe, and it's designed this way through history because of the temperature. And I mean, it's Saudi Arabia. It's really warm, and during summer it's usually white or of light colors, and in winter it would be black or brown. The fashion designer's idea was that people were into modern clothing, jeans and t-shirts, and he was trying to redefine the cultural thobe to make it more modernized and interesting for youth to be interested in wearing. And the picture at the very right is a piece of his latest collection. And the third, I'll be moving into display arts. And this is a picture of Ghada Al-Hassan. She's an artist from Al-Qatif, which is near Dammam, if you've heard of Dammam. And basically, she graduated from, she did, I think, Arabic studies in college, but she found herself more into arts, and she was interested in philosophy, science, and history, and she tries to integrate all of these things in her art pieces. This is a picture of one of her pieces, and in the next slides there'll be other pictures of her other pieces as well. And her last piece is called A Window of a Different Kind, and it's I find it really beautiful. It's in the next slide. Yeah, this is the one. These are actually sculptures, and they have small calligraphies on them. It's a very interesting piece of art to me, personally. My next artist is Ayman Zidani. And he graduated from biomedical studies. And it's interesting how all of these people did different things as their bachelors, but then they found their heart with art, basically. This is his own self-portrait, and this is an example of his art. And in the next slides, there will be also examples of his art pieces. The one on the right is called Identity, and the one on the left is called Phantom. I'm not sure what the first one was called, honestly, but I really like his pieces. And then my last example is in architecture. If you would move to that slide. Yeah. This is Sami Angawi. He's an architect, and he used to work in the preservations of the holy city of Mecca. After he worked there, I think he did a lot of research in that area, and then he discovered so many elements in architecture that can be used to make our modern homes more economic and beautiful. And he has designed his own house, which he lives in today. It's not exactly a house, it's more of a palace, but it's really beautiful. This is one of the pictures, and in the next slides, yeah, this is actually his house, and he uses light and the weather and the wind in a really interesting way. I've not been to the house, but I heard that he does not have an air conditioner, and this is almost crazy in the weather in Jeddah. But for him to do that, it shows really good sense of architecture, and all of these things he has found through studying historic homes and historic buildings in Mecca and in Jeddah generally. And he combined all of these things in his home, and so many pieces that he used in his home, like the doors, the windows, were collected vintage secondhand stuff. So he would buy them from old houses that are being renovated, and he would integrate it in his home. The last picture, yeah, this is the swimming pool. His idea for this part of the house was that Mecca and Jeddah are cities in which a lot of visitors from the Islamic world come. And he tried to integrate India, Persia, and Morocco in his house. So the swimming pool has a Persian look, and some of the parts of the house looks somewhat Indian, and he tried to integrate all of these because to him they resemble the Hijazi culture, which is the culture of Jeddah, Mecca, and Medina. By that I end my presentation, and I'll be looking forward to your questions if you have any. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
I don't have the remote right here, so wherever that's being.
Okay. We can hear you.
We can hear you now.
Oh,
Yeah,
very good. Thank you. Okay. I'm a former teacher in the classroom, and a lot of times I would look at programs or papers, and I would mark them on a scale of 1 for the lowest or 10 for the highest. And when listening and seeing the visuals and all that you had related to your presentations, would absolutely have to give you a 10 for that.
Thank you.
I think it's a great example for us to use and think about when we're introducing people from one culture to another. Find an area of interest. You can see a strong interest there in what you did on those 3 topics. And looking at it from a historical perspective, as well as a cultural perspective and others, I think it just reconfirms again the idea of it's important to have communication to make friends and do it in open communication in areas of mutual interest. And you scored a 10 with what you did with this today. And related to that, let's go to Chestnut Hill College. I know you have it organized there somehow where the microphone is and the podium, how you're going to respond to this, but we'll take a few minutes where just come to the microphone or whoever's speaking first and come up with a question or comment related to what you've been learning, friends in Saudi Arabia.
All right, we have a question coming up here.
Good, and give us a name. As you come up, like a name, and maybe if you're a student there, like a major that you're in or what year you're in. We can sort of match people up that way a little bit too.
Hi, it's Emily again from the Student Activities Office. Thank you so much for your presentations. I really enjoyed hearing about each of them. I was really interested in the presentation on civic engagement, and I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about your own personal experience with civic engagement and any programs your university might have.
Thank you for your question. So that is funny because I do have a personal experience. What happened is when I came to Effat, I'm sorry, there's echo.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So when I came to Effat, I'm a sophomore student, so this is my second year here. And what happened was that this year I took a course in civic engagement, and we actually had full freedom as to develop our own volunteer program if we choose to. And as for our course, that was a compulsory part of our grade that we had to put into practice a volunteer program that helps or benefits the society in any way. It could be small scale, which means it could only help the university, or it could be large scale, which means that it could affect all of the city. And we had to implement it and make sure that we implement it throughout the course of time. And our whole class did, and there were examples of how people volunteered as to train interns. There were people who volunteered to clean up litter from the seashore of Jeddah. There were volunteer programs where people took any recyclable materials to recycling plants and made sure they were recycled. So there were many volunteer programs that I saw with my own eyes and my own experience that came into being, which was very interesting. Me personally, my group did the volunteer program, as Hanan told us, that we have an MUN organization. So our volunteer program was related to MUN, and our volunteers were focused on how to make the MUN conference possible. Volunteers were responsible for everything from the concept of the conference to the very playing out of the conference itself, from small things such as paper clips and folders to the large, big screens such as the venue being perfect. So that was the volunteer program that my group did. But generally, especially in this university, the thing that is quite remarkable is we have quite freedom in the amount of social service or community service, and it is quite encouraged here. So we had full autonomy as to choose whatever sort of project we had. And I personally did take part with my class and outside of my class generally in many volunteer programs here. A few I can name is we have the Musannada Fund, which is a charity service where any student, any teacher, any faculty, whoever wants, can donate to this fund of the university. There's also a fund for the building of the university, construction, and making it better and remaking it or any damages whatsoever. So if we want, we can donate to that as well. Other community service options here are we have a special department that takes care of community service, which you can volunteer in after university hours or during university hours, and you will get extra value points or extra credits, and it can be a part of your experience in this university, and it can be on your resume. So in that sense, yes, I would say personally I have had experience with civic engagement in this university. Thank you.
You can turn the mics back on, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions here from Chestnut Hill? They're a little shy this morning, I think.
It's early for them. Yes.
I'm taking that as a no, so no more questions. Hopefully they'll be a little more talkative during the dialogue later.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay. Well, we will have some from here, but maybe what we'll do, we'll combine them together and hear the presentations from Chestnut Hill College, and then we'll look at maybe similarities and differences or areas of special interest through curiosity that you might have, and build on things from that level. So if we did that, Chestnut Hill, we're coming back to you for sure for some more. We'll take a look at Chestnut Hill College and their 3 topics, which are dealing with education, fashion, and sports.
All right, well, we have our first presentation, which is going to be on fashion. It's going to be presented by Noelle Parent and Lauren Hayes. Lauren is an English literature major. She's a senior from Central Virginia. And Noelle is a French and history dual major. She's a junior, and she's from Hershey, Pennsylvania. So if you all could please come on up.
Hi, good morning and good evening. This is Noelle speaking, and Lauren is right next to me. We'll be talking about fashion in the United States, in specific regards to modern fashion here in women and men's fashion.
So we're beginning with women's fashion, and we'll be talking about particularly what young people wear and what college students wear, teenagers. And we have all different pictures, and we kind of explain what the items are. So yeah.
Okay, so our first fashion trend that's been going on with young people right now is leggings. They're thicker than tights, but they're basically footless, stretchy pants. There's a lot of patterns and colors, as you can see through the picture, and many young people either just wear them as pants or wear them underneath like skirts or a tunic, like a long shirt, which we'll be showing later.
And then another fashion trend we talked about is ripped jeans. You go into the store and you find most jeans have holes in them or patches or different things. People like the distressed look on their jeans, so that's one trend. And there's definitely a trend towards skinny jeans right now, so that they're very form-fitting to the leg. The next thing we talk about is bohemian hairbands.
So these are seen usually with young girls or here at our college. They're pretty much simple hairbands that girls just wear right around their heads. Sometimes their hair is like tucked up into them. Some of them have flowers or feathers, like some of them are more ornate, but usually they're just like the simple band.
And we also discussed plaid button-ups, which are pretty common, just casual clothing, just buttons right down the center. They're usually flannel. They can be in a variety of colors, and they're just a comfortable piece of clothing that a lot of people like to wear. And of course, tunics and long shirts, as Noelle mentioned, are often paired with leggings and boots. It's very popular in the United States.
Next, we talked about denim shirts. So they're basically made from the same material as jeans. They button up right through the middle, and we can see these worn like over leggings or over jeans, like different colored jeans. So those are pretty popular as well.
And we also discussed ponchos, which are adopted from South American culture, and they're just big, comfortable sweaters, basically, that people can pair with a variety of things, leggings or skinny jeans and boots, just to keep warm and be comfortable. And we also talk about shifts.
Yeah, these shifts are basically just loose dresses. They're not really super form-fitting, but they can be dressed up or casually worn.
And crop tops, which are usually for going out with friends or, pairing with higher waisted pants to look professional, or they can have a variety of patterns on them.
We also talked about rompers, which is basically a top and bottom as shorts that are connected to each other. And you can also these can also be seen in a pant version, which we call jumpsuits. So instead of the shorts, it would just be a long pant.
And of course, vests are very popular here, especially in wintertime, as a fashion piece or to keep warm with the quilting. And for shoes, a lot of people like to wear flats because they're comfortable. Flats can come in a variety of patterns and styles, but basically they're just flat on the ground. There's no heel whatsoever. And now I'll talk about men's fashion a little bit.
So with men's fashion, we see a lot of boys nowadays wearing joggers, which are basically like a type of sweatpant, but they're like a slouched version. They're very comfortable, sort of more form-fitting at the bottom. So those are seen pretty popular around campus.
And slides are also very popular. They're basically open-toed sandals that will be worn with shorts and a lot of times with socks as well. They're just comfortable, easy to put on, very common. And crew neck sweatshirts, of course, are popular with collared shirts underneath or just by themselves as a kind of casual, but like nice casual attire.
We also talked about khaki pants, which is very popular among guys. Usually worn with either like nice dress shoes or like casual shoes like Vans and paired with a button-up or just like a t-shirt.
And polo shirts, of course, which are often paired with khaki pants. Jeans can be worn at school or for more formal occasions, but those are very popular. So that's a brief overview of education or of fashion
Right.
in the United States.
Yeah, those are just a bunch of the trends that are going on right now, and usually a lot of times like trends that we've seen in past years, they'll come back again. So that's pretty much our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, before Lauren and Noelle, before you go, I want to come back for just a second. When you were showing and we knew it was going to be this way, when you were showing your slides, we weren't really seeing you at all. So an important part of what we're doing today is to sort of get to know each other individually a little bit better in the process of, say, the PowerPoint presentation. So I could say something about the two of you, and then you could individually say something else to tell them just a little bit more about yourself. But Noelle and Lauren are both, they both have just finished an internship with GEM, and they've been doing work to help us related to things we're going to talk about a little bit later around the Sustainable Development Goals, for example. But GEM has had 4 interns this fall semester, and Noelle on the left and Lauren on the right were 2 of them. Could each of you just say something else about yourself a little bit more?
Sure. Hi, I'm Noelle, just so you can see me now. Right now, as Sabrina said, I'm from Hershey, Pennsylvania. I'm a junior here at Chestnut Hill College studying French and history. And this semester, interning with GEM has really given me a really amazing opportunity to learn more about being globally aware, the Sustainable Development Goals, which I'm sad to say I hadn't heard of before my internship, but now I'm really happy that I can be aware of this and actually, spread this education to my friends and to other classmates. So I'm really happy that this has been going on, and I'm really excited to be pairing with Effat University to work together, and I hope that we can work together a lot more in the future.
Hi, I'm Lauren Haynes. I'm a senior English literature major at Chestnut Hill College, and I'm also an intern at GEM. And I've had the incredible opportunity of learning more about different cultures and global education, which is extremely important. And I'm so glad to have the opportunity to connect with Effat University and discuss these different topics. I'm very excited to learn more about your culture, your educational system, and to be able to engage with you in a conversation after all of our presentations. And yeah, we discussed fashion because we figured it would be a good lighthearted way to start things off, to connect, because we're sure that's like a point of difference, but it's also a point of communication where we can talk about it, and we're excited to build a relationship with you.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. That was great. Are there any young men in the audience at all, Sabrina?
No, we are women only here today.
Okay. Okay. Just checking on that. All right. I did see it. All right.
All right. So we're going to now move on to the presentation on sports, which is going to be Leah Sanders. Did I say that correctly? Okay. She is a human services major and a junior at Chestnut Hill College, and she hails from Long Island, New York. Come on down.
Thank you. My presentation today is about sports, and I think that this topic is really important because sports had opened up a lot of doors for me, and it built a lot of self-confidence, and it built my character also. Next slide, please. Am I doing that?
No, he's doing it.
Okay. So this is just a brief history of sports, and I don't know if you can read the quotes, but it says that in every you know what? I can't really read it.
Okay, it's a little blurry here.
Yeah,
I'm just going to pull up her presentation on the screen real quick so she can follow along here.
Thank you. So it hasn't been really easy for women in just history in general. And this is just a brief history of sports, like if you can pull up the video, and then I can just read the quote after.
Chorus call, that would be you. Can you pull up the video?
I'm sorry, I don't have the video here at the bridge. Did you just want me to copy and paste that link?
Yeah, could you do that, please?
Equality for female participation in sport has been a long and hard-fought one. 100 years ago, a majority of people, many women included, would have thought it unnatural, if not immoral, to permit women to participate in sports. Today, women's participation is widespread and accepted by most. However, there are still many sports and sport-related institutions and organizations that have not achieved full equality. Some sports, such as football or boxing, encourage very little female participation, although even these so-called masculine sports are changing. Women's boxing, for example, will probably be included in the Olympic Games by the end of this decade. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, when sports and physical education programs were first organized in North America, women were forbidden from participating for so-called scientific or medical reasons. Physicians as a group often spoke out against female athleticism, using the argument that physical activity would damage reproduction. Others claimed that it was quite simply unnatural for women to participate in sports. Little real evidence was provided to support these claims. In truth, the so-called evidence was more a reflection of physicians' cultural assumptions about women's place in society in general. The 1920s and 1930s witnessed a short golden age in women's sports. Individual athletes and teams or leagues formed to support female athletics. Track and field, tennis, softball, programs in physical education, and other activities were encouraged, at least for those women lucky enough to have the time and money to participate. There was even a women's Olympic Games movement in the 1920s and 1930s. At one point, the regular Olympic Games organized by the International Olympic Committee, IOC, became concerned that the Women's Olympics would gain enough power to challenge the superiority of the IOC's Olympics. As a result, the IOC included a few more women's events in their games, although not many. The golden age of women's sports was followed by a long drought. The post-World War II era was one of very conservative traditional family values in North America. However, in the 1970s, the current boom in women's sports began. One of the driving forces in the movement was East Bloc countries, particularly the Soviet Union and East Germany, both of which encouraged female athletes at the highest level, the Olympic Games. Female athletes with strong and muscular bodies emerged on the international sports stage. At first, this raised concern among the male-dominated sports establishment. However, after years of struggle, the muscular and strong female athletic body has become common in international sport. In the late 19th century, the founder of the modern Olympic Games, Pierre de Coubertin, said that the sight of women participating in sport was an affront to the human eye and unnatural. We've come a long way since then.
In every aspect of athletics, girls and women face discrimination, racism, homophobia, prejudice, and ridicule. Women were warned that they not only undermine but prove of lesbianism. Female athletes were depicted as physical and unattractive, and women were told that competitive sports would hurt reproductive organs as well as women's chances of marriage. So there's a lot of discrimination in women trying to play sports, but then in the United States, Title IX was launched, and it was the greatest achievement of women's movement. And it states that no person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participating in, be denied or benefits, or be subjected to discrimination. But most people think that Title IX is only about sports, but it's also cover other areas like access to higher education, career education, employment, learning environment, and sexual harassment, and standardized testing, stuff like that. And women to Chestnut Hill College. Chestnut Hill College is a Division II athletic program, and it's in the Central Atlantic Collegial Conference, also known as the CAC. And Chestnut Hill offers many sports like lacrosse and volleyball and basketball, softball, tennis, soccer, cross country, and track. And we just added the bowling team this year recently. And as a female athlete, I think that deciding to play a sport in college was one of the best decisions I ever made, because it encouraged me to make a lot of friends, and it built my self-confidence, and it also got me really involved with my team and with my community. Impact of women on sports. As I mentioned before, I came from Cambodia when I was 8 and I didn't know how to speak English. And my mom, she put me in all the sports that I wanted to go into. And it opened so many doors for me because it forced me to learn English. It forced me to make friends, and in a way, it kind of shaped who I am right now, because it really encouraged me to commit myself and through sports, women learn to respect each other. I learned to relax. I learned to concentrate under stress, and it enabled me to set goals and achieve them. And in a way, because with sports and teams, like, you have a sense of responsibility for your teammates and yourself, and it also make you really healthy, like just physically, like you have a higher body self-esteem, you are less likely to be sick, and you have a better self-health report. And it also, because I play lacrosse, it helped me get into Chestnut Hill College, so it enabled me to get a higher education, and it really helped me focus in school. And I also have a very good time management, and I'm very organized, and I'm really good at setting priorities. Continuing on the impact of sports on women, it's also really good for your emotional and physiological health. Like as mentioned before, women have a higher self-esteem, they have better self-image, and it create a lot of self-confidence in women, and it lower rates of their depression and risk of suicide. And this quote from the Women's Sports Foundation: "Girls and women who play sports have a higher level of confidence and self-esteem and lower levels of depression, have a more positive body image and experience higher standards of physiological well-being than girls and women who do not play sports." And just today, there's a lot more women athletes who are participating in the college sports, and I think that's really important. And there's a lot of female athletes who are also involved. It increased to 2.13 million girls, and these are the most frequently played sports at college. Is basketball, and 98% of schools have them, and volleyball and soccer and cross country and softball. I just think that, just to conclude my presentation, I think that sports really built girls' character and also create their involvement and self-confidence. And I think that sports encourages girls to become more empowered, to become more confident, which is really important, because we are starting to have a lot more voice, and we're becoming more powerful, and it's important that we all still strive to fight and to encourage girls to get more involved in society and in the world, because I know that we all can make a difference. Thank you.
All right, so that was our second presentation, and we have one more, and that is on education. And we have Lauren, again, and also Natalie Williams, who is a human services major. She's a senior at Chestnut Hill College, and she is from Pennsylvania, which is where Chestnut Hill College is located.
Hello again. We're doing education. I'm Lauren, and this is Natalie. We're discussing education because we feel it's really important for building a sustainable future, and we have a quotation about why it matters from Nelson Mandela. He says, "Education is the most powerful weapon with which you can change the world." And we truly believe that this is the source of solving all the world's problems, like poverty and inequality. So to start, we'll talk a little bit about the educational structure.
First off, we'll start with when we're younger, we start in preschool around ages maybe 4 or 5, and then we progress to kindergarten and elementary and primary school, which is usually grades 1 through 5. And with middle school, it ranges from grades 6 to 8, depending on the sizes of your schools as well. Like, I came from a very small school district, so actually my middle school and my high school were combined. So grades 7 through 12 for me was high school. And then after you're done with grades 9 through 12, you can go on to university and gain your associate's degree, which will take around 2 years, and then your bachelor's, which is 4 years, and then progress onto your postgraduate degree if you desire.
And we want to discuss also the style, format, and features of education in the United States, because there's a lot of different components that go into how the education is structured beyond just the basic flow. There's the issue of rural versus urban schools. So both Natalie and myself came from very rural areas where the schools were small and resources were limited, but even within the same city, the resources available at a given school can be very different. There's also the issue of public versus private. So government-funded schools are public schools. They're ones anyone can attend, and there is a separation of church and state in those schools. The curriculum is somewhat standardized as to what students have to learn. And there's also private schools, which are generally more expensive, but they tend to are known for having more rigorous curriculum. Classroom size, generally in a high school, it can vary because schools are so different. But in a general high school classroom, there's usually about 20 to 40 students per teacher. There's also an emphasis on experiential learning in the United States, particularly at the collegiate level. So taking what you learn in the classroom and being able to apply it in the community or in a way that would be useful in the workforce. And also, there's standardized testing in the United States. I'm not sure how that works in Saudi Arabia, but in the United States, we have standardized tests per state, primary to high school, depending on the state. And there's, in Pennsylvania, I believe it's called the Keystone exams. It used to be called the PSSAs. And in Virginia, where I'm from, we had the standards of learning. But it's basically the same material. The history sections might differ a bit because the states cover different histories. And to enter university, you have to take the SAT or the ACT. And for postgraduate study, you can take the GRE, which is a general exam, or the GMAT. And then there's the LSAT for law school and the MCAT for medical school. And we also wanted to talk about core classes in the United States.
Yeah, there's a few classes that every student has to take when they're going through their basic education. Math is one of them. It varies per student too, because everyone's unique with their learning, but usually it ranges from pre-algebra to calculus, and you can go higher, of course, if you are excelling in that subject. There's also the sciences. You go through biology, chemistry, earth science, and physics all throughout high school. And you also take an English class throughout every year of your basic education too. And social studies, it's a range of different history courses, which is U.S. history, the U.S. government, and we also learn about world history or humanities class, which also involves art as well.
And we also have electives, and this is more for the high school level. Ages 14 through 18, you typically can choose from a selection of different classes that are not considered core classes. So art, computer science, creative writing, engineering, foreign languages, music, nursing, psychology. In college, core elective classes can be different because if you're an art major, obviously art will not be considered an elective. It will be a core class, and engineering might be your elective, depending on what you choose. But we included this information because we were curious what the core classes and electives were, or if you had that concept in Saudi Arabian schools. Like if you had to learn English, if that was mandatory, because we noticed you speak very, very well, and we're not required to learn foreign languages until the collegiate level, so that was of interest to us. We also wanted to talk about civic engagement a little bit.
With our civic engagement, we usually get involved with the local community that's based around our schools or colleges. It's to solve the major world issues, and it's to promote understanding, compassion, and to make our world a better place. There are different types of organizations and activities based in the United States, and this is just a very, very small list of them. But the Habitat for Humanity is more environmental based. Of course, United Nations, the Philabundance, the Philly AIDS. Charter schools also do a lot of civic engagement. The soup kitchens, shelters, also street cleanup days, and community gardens, which are all big things that a lot of high school students and college students participate in.
Yep. And to talk about in relation to their presentation, civic engagement is required in a lot of college level courses as well. So we at Chestnut Hill, through our global studies class, actually had to take or do some form of civic engagement or community service. So that's quite common as well. So as far as extracurricular activities go, we've got this other component that kind of supplements education. It's you can explore what you like to explore in your electives, or it can be another interest, and there's a variety of things you can do. Obviously, sports, as Leah discussed earlier. There's cultural clubs that can be related to languages or nationalities, different interests. Community service organizations, so bringing back that civic engagement component. Intellectual groups for common interests, art clubs, band, choir, theater, dance. So there's lots of different ways to get involved, and it's an important way to supplement your education. And we wanted to talk about Chestnut Hill College a little more specifically.
So, as you know, our college is located in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. It was founded in 1924 by the Sisters of St. Joseph, and it's a coeducational Catholic college. Our size is pretty small compared to other universities. It's 1,491 students. We're based on 75 acres, and our mascot is the Griffin. I know we used to be an all-girls school until 2005, I think.
It was fairly 2003.
2003, and now we have both males and females based at our college.
Yeah. And just as a note, we're both transfer students who came here last semester, so we're learning all about Chestnut Hill College now. And so we wanted to do some fun facts about Chestnut Hill College. We have a lot of different traditions on campus. We have Christmas decorating night, which just happened, where each year of students, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, gets a specific area of the school that they have to decorate, and it looks beautiful afterwards. We also host the Harry Potter Festival and the Brotherly Love Quidditch Cup every year, which is great. All the shops participate, and a lot of people from different areas in the local community come out to support that. We also are based right across the street from Fairmount Park, which is the largest park in any United States city. And we have two lovely dogs on campus, Griffin and Casca, who live here. And yeah, so we just wanted to give you a brief overview of education and see how it stacks up with Saudi Arabia and just start a discussion from there. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Natalie and Lauren, please stay there. I'm going to ask Aaliyah to come up again, and Noel, and we'll see if there are questions or comments that would come from Effat University. And for Natalie and Lauren, I'm glad you added the civic engagement piece there at the end too. It tied in very nicely. Okay. From Effat University, do you have any questions or comments back to Chestnut Hill College related to their presentations?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. For the sports, as an athlete, have you faced any of these stereotypes or judgments that you mentioned? And do you think they still exist, in our world or in the States?
Thank you for your question. As an athlete, female athlete, I haven't really faced any discrimination personally. Not that I can think of it, anyways. But I definitely still think that we do have discrimination, not just in sports, but in the workforce and in society in general of women. And it's unfortunate, but I think we're making great progress, and I still have hope that there would be a time where no matter who you are, who you love, what sex you are, we all be equal and live in a peaceful world.
And to add on that a little bit, I think that as far as discrimination in sports goes, it may not be that women who play sports are discriminated against. However, if you look at the stands in a woman's game and a man's game, a women's soccer game will not have nearly as many people watching as a men's soccer game. A women's basketball game will not have nearly as many fans as a men's basketball game. So in that respect, I think there definitely is still that gender barrier that exists. Right.
Yeah. This is exactly what I was going to ask about, because when the U.S. women's soccer team won, I was really happy, and and the thing is, I think it bothered me a little bit that it's the U.S. women's soccer team, and if it were the men's team, it will be just called soccer team. It will just be the U.S. soccer team. And it just, sometimes, I don't know if it bothers you that women are also always associated with what they're doing. There's a women engineer, a female doctor, a female surgeon, and when it's a guy, it's just a surgeon, engineer, athletes. Does that bother you too? I don't know.
I mean, that's a really good point. Because it's true, like, when a man is like, oh, he's a doctor, like, it's not like, oh, because he's a male, he's a doctor. But when a woman's a doctor, she's like, oh, she's a female doctor. Like, it's I don't know how to explain it, but
lady doctor.
Yeah, lady doctor. So because of our gender and our sex, like, we are, I guess, kind of being limited because of not limited, but like discriminated against, obviously. And but yeah, I never thought of that. That was a really great point.
And the same thing goes for different professions that are considered traditionally female as well, because here we have male nurses as a concept because traditionally nurses are female. So there is like a shift towards moving away from using the prefix of like, or even saying actress, like to indicate a female actress. Like they'll say actor instead. There is that move towards that, but there's still definitely a lot more room to improve.
Yeah. And to comment on the dogs you had on the presentation, we have many cats on campus.
We're cat people.
And
I would love to visit the Harry Potter festival.
Definitely. Our audience is very interested when that came up, so thank you for bringing that up.
So any questions from the audience?
I'll talk about okay. One more thing, as you guys asked, so I'll just shine a little bit of light on that. You said you were interested in knowing if we have the cores and the free elective system. Well, we do. Our core electives or our core subjects that we take is related to our major. For example, I am psychology, so clinical psychology, behavioral psychology, all this would be my cores. And if I want to take a free elective, that can be any department from which I choose, except it can't be, I think, the last level course, because that's too advanced. But any other course, for example, if I'm taking organizational behavior psychology, a nice free elective I'd like to pair up with that would be management or marketing. That goes with the OB side. So we have that free option in which at Effat University, where we can choose any free elective we choose, which we think corresponds with our major, even if it doesn't, for good experience or what we think would look nice on our resume.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking that. I think someone in our audience has a question. Yeah?
Go ahead.
You can.
Okay. So this is less of a question, but more of a comment. The first presenters, you guys talked about fashion and style in the United States of America. Throughout your presentation, a lot of us were giggling, and we thought it was really amusing because we know everything there is to know about your culture. A lot of your brands have been imported to this part of the world, and so we're very familiar with the legging crisis, and let's just say that we have a lot of common ground when it comes to that. What we're wearing right now is just a cultural garb, but we are very familiar with your fashion, and we think that's a great thing. And we'd like to, we'd hope that in the future, you guys will come to know more about our culture and our norms and values. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, we were definitely like very interested in, how we weren't sure how much you would know about fashion here, but that's definitely good to know. And we would like to learn more about culturally, like what you wear and like, how, like, are there different pieces that you wear for different occasions? And, you mentioned the like lighter colors in the summer and then the darker colors in the winter. Like, it's very interesting to like learn and see, we're not so different after all.
True.
And to go back to one of the points in the education presentation, you asked if if it's a requirement for us to know English.
Okay.
Actually, yes, we do have like a simple. I don't know. It's not a test really.
A TOEFL test?
No. We take TOEFL before we go into university. They ask us to write an essay, like a simple essay, just to like.
It's a clearance test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's for them to know, to put you in which level, because most of our studies are in English. Actually, all of our subjects are in English,
except for Arabic language.
Except for Arabic. And we actually have took the SATs. We do have SATs in Saudi Arabia, but they're not for universities in Saudi. If you want to study abroad, you do take the SATs. If you want to study in Saudi Arabia, we have Al-Qudarat exam, which is basically it's very similar.
Yeah, it's the equivalent.
It's very similar to the SATs.
It's basically sort of an IQ test where they rank your
but it's very similar. It's mathematics and
language.
Yeah, and science and so on. So yeah, just to answer your question.
We have one more question from the audience.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so my question is about the first presentation about fashion. I guess I just want to know, what role does education in fashion play into this cross-cultural exchange? So basically my question is, why did you think it was important to give a presentation about fashion?
So we felt it was just an easy way to kick off our discussions about more heavier topics, I suppose, and it's definitely an area of ignorance for us in the States as to how fashion works in Saudi Arabia. And so we wanted to share, because it's a piece of our culture and it is sort of a part of art. It's a springboard into sports, but we felt it was an interesting way to try to connect from the beginning and learn, hey, maybe we're not so different after all, and learn from each other. So.
And we are very similar in that area.
Well, actually, I thought the fashion presentation was really interesting.
Yes,
I think the American students are, and American culture encourages self-expression, and I think this is why now we started to color our abayas. Our abayas are originally black, like my friend Juwairia, but now we started having different colors to express ourselves. So I think fashion is a really important part of self-exploration and self-expression. So and so many parts of your presentations were really educational. I like the rompers part, and so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
They were really great presentations.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I actually have a question. Hi again. I just had a question for you guys about education. Here at Chestnut Hill College, I'm a part of the interdisciplinary honors program. And that basically means each year I'm involved in a year-long seminar that combines two different disciplines that we study. So right now I'm in a seminar that studies science mixed with sort of a little bit of religion, a little bit of
Wow. We have
very interesting.
So I was wondering if you guys have any classes sort of similar to that where you're at in Effat University, and if not, do you think that there would be any sort of future for classes?
I think we do.
It's different.
It's sort of different though.
It's different. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Entirely.
So unfortunately now we don't, but in the future we do hope to have.
Yeah.
It sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
It does. It sounds really interesting.
Uh-oh. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Okay. I just have a question about sports. It's Leah. Are you guys involved in any sports, or are there any sports clubs or sports being played at your university?
Yes, we do have a sports club under which many different sports fall, such as basketball and swimming. We have our own swimming team, our own badminton team. We have Zumba courses and classes. And apart from that, which other?
But unfortunately, none of us are athletes.
We used to have more. Yeah.
We're all MUNers.
But yes, and inter-university competitions do take place. But I think that's pretty much the extent of our sports club here.
Do you think that you're gonna have more sports in your university?
I would say so, because we started off with just the basketball team and badminton team, I think, and then our teams expanded. There came in swimming. Girls requested for classes such as Zumba, which were taking place regularly, and then we're sort of expanding. Girls are very interested in football, and that's also becoming a thing. So it's basically on how each batch comes with different interests, and then their demands are met. So yeah. So we are expecting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone and Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
I'm a student, I'm from international student from Saudi Arabia. My name is Amjad Fallata. I'm a graduate student in instructional technology. I have this comment about women's support in Saudi Arabia. I know that in 2012 we have 2 Saudi women who are participating in the Olympiad in London, Sarah Al-Attar and Wajdan, I forget her last name. And that was our first time to participating in global event. So this is something I want to add about sport in Saudi Arabia. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I think those are all of our questions and comments right now from Chestnut Hill. Okay, can you turn it back over to New York?
Okay, and I have a riddle. I have a riddle for you that goes back to when I was your age in the 1950s and the early 1960s. And the riddle is the following. Father and a son were out together in their car on a trip. They're in a very bad accident. The father dies. The son is seriously hurt. They rush him to a hospital. The doctor comes in to look at and operate on the young boy, and the doctor says, "Oh, I can't do this. It's my son." How could that be?
Yeah, you can.
Anybody know?
It's the mother.
Yes. That riddle was very difficult in my younger age to answer. We didn't know. So we've come a long way. When I look at things from being your age and where the world is today in growth, for example, in a lot of areas, there's one, because for my generation earlier and my parents as well, being stumped on a riddle like that, how could that be? They couldn't picture a woman as the medical doctor. But that's all changed. And things continue to change. And what's going to bring about more of this change than anything else is doing things like what we're doing right now. Taking some time, 2 hours maybe, out of our day. It's overtime for you in Jeddah, as it's early for us here at exam time and everything with all that going on. But it's important to do to open doors, get cobwebs out of, especially when I remember when I was your age, I had all the answers. And I had very few answers. But by talking and interacting with people from different parts of the world and getting involved with them related to solving problems in the world and having sports competition. There's all kinds of things that you could do. But using this technology that we're using it today, it's easy. When you're thousands of miles apart and you're 12 or more hours away in time from each other, we can still find a way to get together, to do things, to make friends, and not be enemies. And related to that, when we had these initial meetings, when Abdullah went to your university last July and talked with your administration, and then came back and talked to me, and then we talked to the administration at Chestnut Hill College, and did it in conjunction with Ramud Damadaran, the chief of the UN Academic Impact Initiative at the UN, with both universities being members of that. This was a good way for us to get together, make friends, and start to have collaborations and look for things that we could do to continue this, rather than it being one and done. One program, when it's over, we have a nice memory of it, but it doesn't really go anywhere new to make things better. And we don't want it to end here. I know your administration at Effat University does not want it to end here. Chestnut Hill College does not want it to end here. So in discussions that we have had with the administration at Effat University and with Chestnut Hill College, here is where we're saying that we would like to go from here. Both schools have an interest in doing things that would involve the United Nations. Both schools are learning about and interested in things related to the Sustainable Development Goals and the Millennium Development Goals that preceded them. And if you've done any study to the Millennium Development Goals, which for 15 years we've been saying to young people your age and younger, you really need to learn about these goals because they are really important to your future. If you can have and make those achievements of achieving those goals, we're going to have a much better world tomorrow with less extremism in it, more people that will have self-esteem and a whole bunch of things with it. That started to be a major emphasis for us that we've then at CHEM, that we've transferred and done more with Chestnut Hill College and other schools, high schools, middle schools, colleges, and universities. And we're to the point now where we're ready to begin what we're calling a United Nations in Your World series. This is something that's not new for us. We've done it in the past, mostly at the high school level, but we've also done it a little bit at the college and university level in bits and pieces. But what we would like to introduce to both schools now, here from the United Nations, is this idea of a United Nations in Your World series that we would like to do together. Chestnut Hill College with Effat University, and are asking Effat University and Chestnut Hill College to find an additional school that would like to join along the ideas of what it is that we started today and move into with us a United Nations in Your World series that centers on the new Sustainable Development Goals that are replacing the Millennium Development Goals at the end of this month. The MDGs, the Millennium Development Goals, will be over with some success and some things that they did not succeed with. The Sustainable Development Goals will come in for the next 15 years. And when you try to look at the ones that are just about to end, they had one overall goal that they started in the year 2000. When you think back to how old you were at that particular time, 15 years ago, you were probably age 7, 8, 9, and just starting to learn a little bit about the world itself. And the Millennium Development Goals, people were saying was going to cut in half the number of people living in the world in extreme poverty. Back in 2000, that was living on $1 a day. And then they upped it to like $1.25 a day in US dollars. And to cut that in half in 15 years, never in the history of mankind had world leaders ever gotten together any place. They didn't have a place through most of history until recently, and there was the United Nations. So they came to the UN, and at the UN they came up with these 8 goals, the Millennium Development Goals, with the overall goal of cutting in half the number of people in the world living in extreme poverty in 15 years. And there were a lot of people in the United States that were bewildered by that, that it was like, not funny, but it was like, come on, that's going to be impossible to do. The world won't get together enough in order for that to happen. But the 15 years are about up. And the world is now starting to realize that 5 years ago, in 2010, that goal was reached. From a global perspective. You can look in regions and some countries where poverty is higher now than it was before. But overall, it has been cut in half from what it was by 1992 or 1993 standards that were written in to those Millennium Development Goals. I mention that because that is a good thing to look at, to believe that, wow, if we did that in 10 years, not 15, maybe we can do what these new Sustainable Development Goals want to do in the next 15 years. And that would be by 2030, think about where you're going to be in 15 years, maybe married, maybe with children, maybe running a university, you never know. But in 15 years, 2030, the goal is to eliminate extreme poverty in the world. And every member state of the UN, United States, Saudi Arabia, have agreed to do that. And they've all agreed to also to fund it. They don't know yet where all that money's coming from, but they also have ideas of about $3 trillion perhaps a year to put into that, and other things as well. But there's agreements that are there from member states of the UN, every single one, to look to achieve 17 sustainable development goals that go into effect on January 1. That is very critical to your future, everyone's future. For wanting to have a better world tomorrow, the number one evil a lot of people here at the United Nations would say is the evil of poverty. You eliminate extreme poverty, $1.25 a day, and cut in half other types of poverty that, say, we have here in the United States. At least cut it in half in the next 15 years. People will have more self-esteem, jobs. The world overall will be a much better place, and it's one of the more important things for you to get involved in doing. And I had mentioned that in the very beginning, for people your age and your generation, those two things that I wanted to come back to. And one was that to, eliminate extreme poverty in the world, you're the first generation that has all the tools to really do it. So I think we should do it. And you have advantages that my generation, we were your age, didn't have. We did some things well, we did other things not so well. But a big thing for the world to look at and deal with is poverty. And if the next 15 years you can eliminate it in the extreme version around the world, especially in developing countries, it's a big step for having a better world. Then I mentioned that other piece, that you're the last generation to have any chance to stop climate change. By 2030, we're in the range of it actually being too late. Things related to poverty and climate change and energy and human rights and all those things are tied into these new sustainable development goals. And we all highly recommend that you take time individually and at your schools to look at that, to understand that a little better. It's beginning in less than 1 month. And we would like to start with both of you, with Effat University, finding another college or university. It could be a member of the UN Academic Impact Initiative, but it doesn't have to be. They could join. It doesn't cost anything to join. And Chestnut Hill College, the same thing. So that we would have 4 colleges and universities that would start. We are looking at not waiting a long time. We are looking at starting in like February, and then again in March, and then again in April, at a date and time that we have to get together and work out how we can do this where it's going to be workable with the time differences that we have, etc. But if we want to do it and have the will to do it, we can do it. We have done this kind of series internationally before, but at the high school level. But we would like to do it at the college and university level, just on those sustainable development goals. And in the beginning, in February, talk about the first 6 goals, the first 6 of the 17. Those first 6 are the goals from the Millennium Development Goals that were not achieved. So the first 6 are there, more for universal education and eliminating extreme poverty in the world, cut it in half. They did that, but there are also things that are in there related to gender equality and other things. From goals 1 to 6. Goals 7 to 17, they are on the Sustainable Development Goals, the new ones, looking at it in new ways. Looking even at things like you have the system. Rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the world gets better. More people are making money, but the divide is there still more. And looking at ways to deal with that. And in other areas, like at least cutting in half deep poverty, but eliminating extreme poverty, and the other areas are there as well. First session would be on 1 to 6 with awareness from people here at the United Nations. It would emanate from the United Nations, not necessarily from the UN Academic Impact, but from people here at the UN, and this is what we do. Be from people here at the UN that are working on the Sustainable Development Goals, from different departments, different agencies, would come and report to you about what is being done on goals 1 to 6 in our first session. Awareness for up to 4 schools, February, and then in March, the second month, we would look at the other goals again, 7 through 17. So by the end of those 2 sessions, everyone should have an awareness of the new Sustainable Development Goals just as they are getting put to work. Then in April would be the 3rd session. There would be connection with a few people from the UN that would be here, connected to up to 4 schools, and that would be primarily a 2-hour discussion that you, the young people, would have with each other regarding, okay, we're aware of these goals. We know what's happening. We see things happening here and there, and what can we do to be part of the solution to the achievement of these goals? You're not going to solve them in May, but in April, you would look seriously at working together. And important for part of this process is that it's not Chestnut Hill College on its own, from its own perspective, doing its thing. And Effat University, from its perspective, is doing its thing. They're both good, but to really make it meaningful globally, you need to work together across cultures and learn from each other, and everybody broadens perspectives. We listen to the other side. We learn from each other in the process. And by April of 2016, you can be involved in coming up with solutions to global problems. And related to that, we would also be sharing with you in April and maybe a little bit before some places that you can go to present what it is that you're doing as part of this project. And one of the places would be here at the United Nations in New York. But we're going to look at that and some regional applications to that as well. But the first step that we wanted to take was today have you meet each other. And then think of another school. Each one of you think of another school and look at it related to it being a different culture, different perspectives, and how that could be done within the time frame that we're looking at to fit in with a time of 2 hours that'll work for maybe an after-school session like this one for Effat University and a morning for Chestnut Hill or another arrangement of it. And do it twice for awareness about those goals, and then the third time related to moving from awareness to action, moving from words to deeds, and being part of the solution. For it to happen, you are a critical piece. And the United Nations, I tell you as sincere as I can be about anything, the United Nations wants you as young people to be part of the solution. They absolutely do want you to be part of the solution. And from what I have seen from talking with people at the UN here, I sincerely believe that they believe that this is not a pipe dream. This is something that's got a lot of things in place for it to happen. 17 goals, 169 targets with those goals, with all kinds of stops along the way of the next 15 years. Take a look and assess it. Where are we? We're ahead here. We're behind here. What can we do? It's all there. And you are all needed to be part of it. And that all developed out of my friend here when he visited your school in the discussions that he had with your administration last July, that we've continued with Chestnut Hill College, and that's where we are looking to go from. Any thoughts related to what I've just been talking about that you might have from either site related to this?
Yeah, first of all, we'd like to thank you for this great opportunity and bringing up such great topics that are ongoing around the world in many nations. And we're looking forward to the opportunity to be participants of reaching those goals. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sabrina, you were going to say something?
No, I was going to say something. I just wanted to say that I think that this is great, and I think we'll work together and finalise the setting up for the next meeting, and we'll correspond perhaps by email a little bit beforehand. And yeah, we're looking forward to the next time. Thank you for today.
Okay.
Thank you.
That sounds very good. Well, thank you, Effat University, for being here. Thank you, Chestnut Hill College. Let's go around one time for just some last words that somebody might have. Emily, standing there.
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say Thank you, Wayne. Just wanted to say thank you for this great opportunity. I know I speak for myself, but I'm sure for the rest of the people in the room that this was a really eye-opening, wonderful experience and exchange with Effat University, and I think that we are excited and empowered to work on those goals and collaborate in the future.
Thank you.
Anything else from Effat University?
Well, thank you very much, especially to the students who prepared the presentations. It was really interesting to see what they had to say. And thank you for organizing this at the UN. And thanks for Jem as well. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
How about Abdullah? Anything?
Well, I just want to say thank you all, and I'm really happy. Well, Chestnut Hill College, I'll see you tomorrow, but Effat University, I don't know when. But I'm really happy and really proud, and you surprised me just like when I visited the campus, and everything, I believe it went perfect. Allah yuwaffiqkum, inshallah.
أجمعين إن شاء الله يا رب.
Okay. And you may have noticed here that Lanice Collins was in a meeting and was held over and was not able to come and join us today. So Laura was staying with us the whole time. So Laura, any closing remarks that you have?
I would like to say thank you to everyone. I very much enjoyed the presentations. I can identify with you quite a lot as I'm still a student. I'm doing a PhD in Scotland on climate change and food security and working with the UN at the same time. So I very much enjoyed it, and I'm also looking forward to hearing about what you're doing and sharing it with the United Nations Academic Impact. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, good night. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye.